Justin. I'm here with another snapshots from the Bible, and obviously this week all anybody can talk about and all anybody can think about is the U.S. election, which is continuing to go on and on and on. I'm probably not alone in having checked my phone like a million times that first night to see who might have won, and we're still waiting, as of the recording of this, to hear the final results. And I've been thinking a lot during this time, especially about our perspective on life. A lot of my friends are just very, very full of anxiety, full of worry. I should say, probably my non-Christian friends, because really this is the pillar of what the next 4 years of their life is going to be about. This is they base a lot of their hopes, a lot of their expectations, their safety, their security, their projections of how things are going to go based on who's elected into office. So it's a tremendously anxiety inducing environment to be going through the elections going, well, if my guy, whoever it is, left or right, whatever, if they don't get in, then my life's going to be terrible. If my guy does get in, it's going to be great. And I've just been thinking about this because that's definitely not the Christian perspective. The Christian perspective is completely different. I'm not. This isn't, by the way. Don't worry about it. This is not going to be a partisan video. I have absolutely no interest in that. What I do want to say is this: yes, it is absolutely important for Christians to engage in the political sphere, to vote, to care about political matters, to be involved in politics and in the life of our community. But we need to be very careful in establishing our hope and our safety and our expectations based around who's elected to be president. That is not the pillar of our foundation of our lives. That is obviously God. And that is why our perspective is much, much different. Had a friend just say, why aren't you, why aren't you sleepless, Justin? Why aren't you so worried about what's going to happen? And I said, well, it's because no matter who's elected, I still have a sovereign king who's over all of that. And in fact, that's what I want to share with you today because it's came across. As I was thinking of this, I was thinking of Daniel. Let's look at Daniel. And of course, here's a guy who was yanked away from his homeland. Judah had just been conquered. They took they the people they didn't kill. A lot of them they took into slavery into Babylon. So they're a captured people turned into slaves in a foreign country with a foreign king, who, by the way, does not believe in the Almighty God. And that's a pretty. I mean, no matter who's elected this year, that situation's a lot worse. It always could be worse, right? So this is the situation Daniel and his friends find himself in, and it's just such a great testimony to their faith to see how they stand up for God, they continue to worship God, they continue to follow Him. But in the midst of Daniel kind of interpreting the king's dream, he gets a vision from God, and he has this reaction, this praise, and Daniel 2 verses 19 following said, during the night the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision. God is giving him a revelation of the vision here. And Daniel said, praise be to the name of God forever and ever. Wisdom and power are his. And this is the key verse here, verse 2, Daniel 2, verse 21. God changes times and seasons. He deposes kings and raises up others. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors. You have given me wisdom and power. You have made known to me what we asked of you. You have made known to us the dream of the king. Obviously, the main point here is he's praising God, that God has granted him the revelation of this mystery. But tucked into the middle of that is this declaration of the character of God, the power of God, that God alone changes the times, the seasons, and the kings. Now, we believe in a sovereign God here at Knox Church, not a God whose power is limited. in scope, and everything outside of that scope is God goes, well, I can't do anything about it. We believe in a sovereign God who ordains all things, both good and bad, for his purpose, his will, and his glory. Some of those things he ordains is not things he approves of, but and not things that he finds pleasure and delights in, but he ordains them for it's a big, long, complicated discussion of that. But I just want to point out he ordains all things, including kings and including presidents. Now, God sometimes ordains kings, rulers, authorities, and presidents not because he's giving them the big God seal of approval. We have plenty of examples in the Bible of kings who were absolutely terrible, just horrible kings. They didn't worship God. They practiced human sacrifice. They oppressed people. Obviously, God didn't approve of these kings, but he did ordain them for his purpose. And sometimes that purpose is divine judgment. Sometimes that purpose is to call people to him. Sometimes when we're under oppression, when our leadership is failing us, we rise up as Christians and we become stronger in our faith. And look in the case of Daniel. This king that he just said, Daniel just said, you depose kings and raise up others. God had just deposed the king of Judah and raised up the king of Babylon for this purpose. Daniel doesn't know everything about what this purpose is. He doesn't know his future. His future is in flux. His future doesn't look that bright. He's a captive in a captive land. But he knows he has a sovereign God, a good God, a powerful God, a God who's over all things. This week, it's the same. Whoever's elected into office, God ordained them. Doesn't mean they get the God seal of approval. I don't know the mind of God. I don't know exactly why God does what he does. But we know he is a good God. We know he is a wise God. And we know he is an all-powerful God. And in that, we can rest easy tonight. Even if we don't know the election results for the rest of the week, even if the person who's elected is not the one you voted for, it's okay because we have a sovereign God who is above all things, in all things, and through all things. And in this time, we can show our witness by being at peace, by holding on to God. And when people look at us and go, how can you have this peace? We go, because I worship a king, not a president. And that king is forever. That king will never fail, will never fall, and will never falter. That's it for today's snapshots from the Bible. God bless you this week. If you are full of anxiety, I'm praying for you. It doesn't mean you're a faulty Christian. It doesn't, I understand. But I wanted to give you some encouragement this morning. God bless.